Welcome to the college football edition of the Dylan Hildreth Show. I am Dylan Hildreth, and we're going to run through all the stuff throughout the offseason. As far as conference realignment. So we saw USC and UCLA. They are off to the Big Ten, set for 2024. And it's the right move for USC and UCLA. It's a good move for the Big Ten. Now they have the top three media markets in the country in New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles. So a really, really good move for the Big Ten. Now, I do understand a lot of the traditionalists talking about the Rose Bowl and what's going to happen with that. Well, it may not be Big Ten and Pac-12 every single year in the Rose Bowl anymore, but it's still going to get preferential treatment over the other bowls. You're still going to get probably the best possible game for the Rose Bowl. Whether it be they're a playoff game or not, they're going to get the best matchup. It is the granddaddy of them all, and it's the granddaddy of them all for a reason. The pageantry, the mystique of it, it's still there. And for the traditionalist fans that want to see that whole Battle of California between all 37 Division I football teams, well, tough luck. New traditions will be forged. And it's going to happen over time. We're going to get some rivalries with USC and UCLA within the Big Ten. We could even see old rivalries get renewed a little bit later down the road. Who knows? But I've come up with a pod system on how I would do it if I had full control of the Big Ten. So we have, in the first pod, we have Ohio State, Michigan, Indiana, Purdue. Got to keep the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry. I do not ever want to see them in a Big Ten title game. I don't want that final game to be watered down by anything. And when you have them in a separate pod, that creates a situation that could water down the game. And you absolutely do not want that. And then I got Indiana and Purdue, both a rivalry and within proximity geographically of Ohio State and Michigan. The second pod, I have Penn State, Michigan State, Maryland, and Rutgers. Now you got Maryland and Rutgers with that manufactured rivalry, Penn State, Michigan State with that year-end rivalry, and you would obviously have the protected rivalries between Michigan and Michigan State, and then Ohio State, Penn State. To pod 3, I would have Wisconsin, Minnesota, Northwestern, and Illinois. Both year-end rivalries, both within proximity. Pod number 4, Nebraska, Iowa, USC, UCLA. Obviously, the hand was kind of forced on having Nebraska, Iowa, USC, and UCLA together because Nebraska and Iowa are the closest to USC and UCLA. And also you get a nice pair of blue bloods with Nebraska and USC. And if Scott Frost is able to get that program in order, and it seems like he's getting one more year to try, which I hope he does. He's a great coach. They'll get it figured out, hopefully. Because I'd really like to see Nebraska at least be formidable again. And you have that year-end rivalry that was manufactured with Nebraska and Iowa, which is actually working out pretty good as far as, especially on social media. You see some of the spats that the Hawkeyes and Cornhuskers have. But anyway, that is how I would do the pod system. Again, pod 1, Ohio State, Michigan, Indiana, Purdue. Pod 2, Penn State, Michigan State, Maryland, Rutgers. Pod 3, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Northwestern, Illinois. Pod number 4, Nebraska, Iowa, USC, UCLA. That is the way that I would do the pod system when the 2 LA schools come to the Big Ten. Now, the rumors of Big 12 expansion. My. The Pac-12, obviously, very, very weak. It's looking like the Big 12. I've only heard reports of it, but they're looking at Oregon, Utah, Arizona, and Arizona State. Big 12 just trying to expand west and then get the 2 football powerhouses of the Pac-12. And I'm very interested to see if the Big 12 does expand to this, because Oregon and Utah would fit in really nicely with the Big 12 now powerhouses in Oklahoma State and Baylor. Both of them have good coaches. Both will be great on defense. And the Big 12 going from a conference with no defense to very, very formidable defenses. Now, the ACC deal isn't set to expire until 2038, I believe. I have the wrong date down here in my notes, but the ACC deal is set to expire like 14 years from now. So the schools won't be able to move until then. But there are rumors that ESPN's trying to work their way out of that deal with the ACC. And if they are able to manage that, I was thinking of some spots where the Big Ten and the SEC would go in and poach some teams. For the Big Ten, I would have Miami, because they have shown through their expansion they want the big markets. Miami is a big market. Notre Dame, which that could be coming in 2025, because that's when the NBC deal expires. North Carolina and Duke. And the reason why I would have North Carolina and Duke, it would bolster the basketball. Big Ten does take pride in their basketball. And they already have the number 1 rivalry in college football in Ohio State, Michigan. It only makes sense for them to want the number 1 college basketball rivalry in Duke and North Carolina. So you have the football move and the basketball move for the Big Ten. And then the SEC. They are very big on names and traditions. Florida State, that way to complete the rivalry with Florida and make that a conference game. And then Virginia Tech and Virginia to fit geographically, because the SEC still has geographic in mind, at least to a degree. And then Clemson. They are the best football program in the ACC, and they are fairly close to being SEC ready. Last year may have been a blimp, or it may have been a sign of things to come. I don't know. I haven't looked too deep on Clemson. I am not a massive fan of DJ, but nonetheless, Dabo Swinney is an SEC caliber coach. So that is my college football conference expansion episode. If you tried joining the live stream last night, I do apologize. It was cut off for copyright, and it was bound to happen. Surprised it let us get this far, but nonetheless, next week, or actually tomorrow will be the SmackDown review for wrestling. And then Monday, I don't know what I'm going to do Monday. I don't know. I'll figure it out by then. But Tuesday will be the Raw review. And then at some point next week, we will start looking at over-unders and conference championships. We're going to start with the SEC, work our way west, and then come back and finish off with the Big Ten. So, and that will take us into college football season. And I will have my top 10 rankings before college football kicks off, as well as all my conference championships, that predictions, and my national championship predictions, national champion playoff predictions, the whole 9 yards. So thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you do not miss a single thing.